person I'm talking about, you may have heard, his name's Colonel Bernie Sanders. And he says, hilariously enough, we must never normalize authoritarianism in ways that would have been beyond belief a few years ago. Trump and his team, through outrageous lies and conspiracy theories, are undermining American democracy. You give them too much credit, because if they were undermining American democracy, whatever that is, that would be a positive thing, Mr. Colonel Sanders says. And he also says they must not and will not succeed. And obviously, if you saw my post about this, I said, fool, you are an authoritarian. What the fuck? How amazing is that Bernie Sanders, of all people, had the nerve to call someone else authoritarian? It goes to show how these people live in a completely alternative reality. Alternate reality. It's not Earth 1, wherever we are. They're on another dimension in terms of how they see the world. And they always see themselves as the good guy. The guy that says bread lines were good. The guy that wants the state to essentially be in control of the education system, of the healthcare industry. The guy that for fucking weeks had been advocating that president used the Defense Protection Act, Korean War Act, to literally hijack factories of private business owners so they could make certain materials that they deemed were necessary, such as the ventilators, which never got used for the most part. He had nerve. He had nerve to say that someone else was an authoritarian. It just goes to show how completely out of touch these people are, but more importantly, how stupid they think you are. I think that's perhaps the most important part, because anybody that ain't a crackhead should be able to understand that this is a projection. But that's the thing about authoritarians, is that they do a great job, particularly the Bernie Sanders leftist fraud humanitarian types, right? See, they get to match their authoritarianism in humanitarian efforts. So they say, like, what's the big deal? I, of course, want control of this, and I want you to be demanded to do this, and I want to use the state to hold essentially a gun at your head, making it illegal for you to do certain things, or we'll put you in jail, or we'll whoop your ass in the event that you resist, right? And again, all of this being no aggression taking place, right? They get to do that because they have maxed that authoritarianism with humanitarian efforts. What's the big deal? I just want people to eat. I just want people to be safe. I just want people to be cared for. I just want to end racism. I just want to kumbaya, my lord. Like all of that sort of stuff. And they like to pretend that the other guys that are the opposition, what often they competing with in terms of the power, they claim that they're the authoritarian. Unbelievable. But again, anybody that's not stupid should be able to sniff this out. Bernie Sanders is peak authoritarian. He's a standard leftist, progressive, calling himself more thinking of himself as a humanitarian. But that's not how authoritarianism works. Authoritarianism isn't simply authoritarianism because it has something that let's say the authoritarian is doing something that you would not rather them do, or something that you don't want them to do. That's not how authoritarianism works. It's either authoritarian or it isn't. Just because you want to care for people or think you want to educate people or keep them safe does not stop you from being an authoritarian, man. But it's fine. He can say stuff like that. I would argue that a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters, we just talked about in the last segment about metalcore artists who I know are fucking retards that would stand over Bernie Sanders. Even though he fucked them twice, got away with the loot 2 times, man. 2 fucking times. He went back to back. Back to back, and they still fell for that shit. That's how stupid his followers are. No refunds, by the way. But he got away with the loot twice. Don't you ever say Bernie Sanders is the Ron Paul of the left. Don't ever say that. Disrespecting my man's Ronnie P like that. He ain't got the guts. Fucking fraud. Ain't no Ron Paul of the left. He's just a standard leftist progressive, Bernie Sanders that is, that says the quiet parts out loud, which forced the hand of a lot of the Democrats. That's all. He's one of them. Just, he's old, right? And as he got older, he just says the loud. Well, I mean, when he was younger, I feel like I've never seen, no, I'll take that back. Even when he was younger, he was crazy as hell. But he says the quiet parts out loud, and that's what kind of separates him from the others. But aside from that, he is what he is. This man got away with the loot twice, but to have him going around calling other people authoritarian is rich. I believe Brent lies. Those are good. The top 1% of the 1%. The billionaires and the millionaires. Like, I don't think it's a radical idea for, like, you're still an authoritarian, Bernie Sanders. Still an authoritarian, buddy. And you showed yourself even when it came to this, when it came to the pandemic, if you will. Same thing, man. This fool was literally advocating that certain, like the president used the DPA along with Chuck Schumer to hijack factories. And these fools are going to have nerve to claim that someone else is an authoritarian. Absolutely unbelievable. But it's quite hilarious. But it does show how stupid people are. But more so, what politics is, what a lot of folks you have to, if you don't understand, it's all about rhetoric, right? It's not about action. It's not about even what you advocate. For the most part, it's more about rhetoric. If you can package it in a way, people will accept it and they'll see you as different. This is why because Trump is loudmouth, kind of like a regular guy, and suave, Barack Obama in comparison to him is suave. This is why they love Barack Obama, but they hate Trump. It's all about rhetoric, right? It's about how you say things as opposed to what it is that you actually say, or more importantly, what it is that you actually do. Because as I mentioned, 50 times on this channel, keep in mind that Barack Obama bombed more countries than Bush. Keep in mind that in comparison to presidents before him and the president after him in his first 4 terms, and not because they redefined what a deportation was, Barack Obama deported more immigrants than both Bush and Trump in his first 4 years. But hey, who's counting anyway, right? So progressive.